Let's see. Getting better results. Yep, everything right there. All right, welcome back. Let's try this one more time and see if we get a better connection. All right. On. Okay, I'm just going to open up some windows here so we can get started. There. Let's test our recording here. Standard 4 is not equal to. Okay. That. No, that's not it. Alright, let's get our connection. Let's manage. Alright. Station share that and that. Okay. There we go. Now we're cooking. All right, we're about to get started here. Okay, looks like everything is working pretty good. All right, if you want to follow along, I'm going to put the link where you can get the source files in the comments there. again one more time. Pause this. You. Yeah, not able to pause it right now, but
what?
Nothing. I was just trying to pause it for a second. I'm just gonna knock this out real quick. All right, we're getting rolling now. So if you had a chance to download the files, right, when you open those up and they're zipped, so you just have to extract those files. It's not hard, but once you do that, we're going to get into looking at some of these different 3D options that you have. So I made templates for the easy way to do it, and then also included one which is the more advanced method that you actually use the 3D tools and stuff in Photoshop. But I think that's, in my opinion, is much more difficult than doing it the way that I'm going to show you how to. All right, so check one more thing real quick. Move over there. So if you're at the home page, you can stay there. But like I said, in the comments, you should be able to get that link that'll take you to my Google Drive, where you can download the zip file of all the files that we'll be working on. And then I'm going to walk through how to use the smart objects in Photoshop, and also how you can adjust the intensity of your 3D effect. It's not hard, and it won't take too long, so I will try to get everything together here so we can get rolling. Apologize for the delay, but I had some technical difficulties. Let's get and I'm just going to update a couple links real quick, like. Alright, so we got our first file here. And when you open it, you're going to see that I have those three lines of text already there. And the reason I put those in is so you can kind of experiment with these, right? So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this top one right here called sitelead.net, just so we have a clean workspace. All right, so to do that, pretty basic Photoshop stuff. Just turn that eye off right there on your layers panel. Okay, and if your screen looks totally different, that is completely normal. All you can do, all you have to do really is go up to Window and to Workspace, and then you can select 3D, Graphic, and Web. I usually go with Essentials or Graphic and Web. That usually gets me the best one. And then that'll kind of reset your toolbar here. And then you want to get to your Layers panel. If you don't see it right away, you can side click some of these to pull it up. But that's where you're going to get, that's where you're going to be using most of the tools for this. So in any case, if we are looking at just this first, let's highlight this and move it over. We want that. So I'm just holding Control and then clicking on those. I just want to move this over to the middle. Okay, so you can see this one already has a 3D effect applied to it, right? Now, how it works, right? A brief rundown without making it too complicated. So if you expand all these folders right here in your Layers panel, you're going to see all the different files, right? And essentially what these are all connected to what's called a smart object. All right. So the reason that that is because when we go back up here, each one of those is going to be styled however we style the smart object, right? And then that is going to populate, so you have one change that impacts all those files, right? In short, that's how the smart object works. So you can use this template to like make your own and to adjust it, right? So to adjust it, all you need to do is right here where I have this highlighted red, this one right here says double click thumbnail, right? So it tells you what to do. The thumbnail's right here. Double click it. All right, that is going to open up your smart object. And what this does once you save it is this is going to store it locally on your machine. So it can be retrieved for those other styles that we have in that file. Okay, hopefully that makes sense so far. But we can get started on this, right? So you can see where I already added some effects to, which one is this? And if you want to rename something, right, it helps keep things organized. You can just do that, double click on the layer, and then you can change the name so it doesn't get confused. So this is the bleeping part of the bleeping Amazon, and you can see that the different styles that I added to it. Okay, so I put a stroke around it, and that stroke is the same color as the font, so that just made the font a little bit thicker. And this gradient layer is showing up because I used this for another font that's saved in here, right? But we're not going to use that. Just wanted to show you. Okay, so once you have your font in here, right, you can keep the formatting and the effects like pretty simple for it. They don't have to be anything crazy because remember, this is going to replicate everything that you do all those times through those different layers that we had, because it's a smart object. So once we make one change here, it's going to change all those files in the original. All right, now the second thing I want to show you is you'll notice that you have these guidelines in here, the one that's vertical and horizontal. And the reason this is because depending on where you position your object, whether it's text, a logo, a shape, whatever, that's going to change the direction of your 3D effect. Okay, so I'll show you how that works real quick. Okay, so the first thing you have to do once you set something up is save it. So Control S, and you'll see that's saving our smart object right there. All right, so that's saved, and we're going to close it. And that's going to bring us back to our main file. And what I want you to notice is you can see how the direction of this has changed. So when we had it in that bottom left quadrant, right, that is more extreme of a of a 3D effect, right? So that's how that works. So I'm going to show you what happens if we put it in the middle.
Are you running ads for clients? Simply.
Okay, so you got that basic one right there. So now if we go back to open up the smart object, so again we're just going to this top layer. This is the one you want to double click, and it opens back up. Now if we move this up, right, let's say if we put it right in the middle, and to do to make this a little bit easier, let's just use the one text. So if I put this right in the middle, right, I'll show you what this looks like.
But that's where you're going to get. That's where you're going to be using most of the tools for this. So, in any case, if we are looking at just the first.
Right. So if you're like me and you have a lot of external drives, sometimes you have to do that. It'll say the scratch disk is full. It's just using up a lot of virtual memory. So I had to select one of my other drives. Okay, so we got this in the middle, right? Let's close that and take a look at our new file.
See, this one already has a 3D effect applied to it, right? Now, how it works, right? A brief rundown without making it too complicated. So if you expand all these folders, right?
Okay, so let's move this to the center. Let's turn off that and let's save this. Okay, now it's saved.
Essentially where we are all connected to what's called a smart object.
And we'll close it. Now you can see. So this now has, it kind of bows out in the middle, right? And then it, the perspective kind of sends it to the back, right? And that's because we had it right in the middle. All right, and then when you move these two, you just want to make sure you have everything selected. You can select the groups.
So you can use this template to like make your own and to adjust it, right? So to adjust it, all you need to do is right here.
And we're just going to do that because I'm going to move it down here.
This one right here says double click thumbnail, right? So it tells you what to do.
All right, now let's keep messing around with this thing. All right, now say if we move to this bottom quadrant over here. Let me show you what the effect looks like, and then after that you should be able to kind of get the hang of what it's doing.
So it can be retrieved.
All right, let's save that. Control S. Get that saved.
We can get started on this, right? So
Mm-mm.
you can see where I've already added some effects to
Open that back up.
if you want to rename something, that helps.
Okay, reset that real quick. All right, so now we moved it all the way down here, right? So we opened up our smart object, and that brought up this second window. Move this down. Now we'll save it real quick. All right, now let's close it and see what happens.
And that stroke is the same color as the font, so that just made the font a little bit thicker.
And try it one more time. Okay, now save. There it goes. Okay, so bottom left quadrant, you're gonna get. This is duplicated all our stuff.
Keep the formatting and the effects like pretty simple for it. You don't have to be because remember this is going to replicate everything that you do all those times through those different layers that you add. It's a smart object. So once we make one change here, it's going to change all those files in the original. Now the second thing I want to show you is you'll notice that you have these guidelines in here. The one that's vertical and horizontal. And
Let's get back here.
depending on where you position
Hit it one more time.
object, whether it's text, a logo, a shape, whatever, that's going to change
Okay.
the direction of your.
Move this down again.
So I'll show you how that works. Okay, so the first thing you have to do
Let's
once you
uncheck this because we just want to get this one right here,
save it,
and we'll click it.
Control S,
Yeah, it keeps defaulting to the
our smart object right there.
center here. Let's try it one more time.
So that's saved, and we're going to close it. And that's going to bring us back to our main file. And what I want you to notice is
That's very interesting.
the direction of this has changed. So when we had it in that bottom left quadrant, right, that is more extreme of a 3D effect, right? So that's how that works. So let me show you what happens if we put it in the middle.
And we're going to regroup these real quick.
Are you running ads for clients? Simply
A lot of times when these get,
So you got that basic one right there.
when you start to see it like moving around like that, sometimes you just got to refresh it. Because what'll happen is you'll
To
select
smart object. So again, we're just going to this top layer.
part of the
Back up.
different layer styles, but you won't get them all. So you just need to kind of watch out. When that happens, it starts kind of getting all over the place.
Let's just use the
You just want to reset it, and if it still acts up, then you want to close without saving and then reopen. Okay, but let's go back here. All right, so you saw the position, right? So now this moved down into that quadrant. You can see how the 3D effect on the left is a lot different from over here. So let's do the opposite of that, and if we move it up here, and you should get a good idea of what that looks like if everything wants to work correctly. And then we'll just knock out a logo, and then you can start experimenting with this on your own. Okay, we can close that. and you can see all of our, let's try to copy all these. I don't think we need to copy the inside part of these folders. Okay, so you can see what happened. Like the 3D effect kind of, well, it went to the opposite side. So now you can kind of understand how those different quadrants work. And let's go and put it right in the middle. So the other thing I would say is, right, you could take something like this, and when you make it smaller, it's going to make those effects tighter. So like this is big, so it's in all 4 quadrants, so it's going to have a variety of 3D effects. So I'm going to save that so you can kind of understand that part. Okay. All right, so this is a good example of like how you can get your 3D effect just how you want it. So this one, Amazon in the middle, right? It's kind of bowed out a little bit, and you can see where it's taking and inheriting the different effects from each quadrant. And then when you have bleeping up here, you can see that that is extreme all in one area, right? So another technique that you can do is make your text or your image smaller so it fits into that quadrant, and then you'll have all of your 3D orientation going in the same way. Okay. All right, let's wrap this one up, and I'm going to show you one more trick. Okay. We're going to make that one a little bit smaller, and we're going to keep them right here in that quadrant, and we're going to save it. And here's where it gets easy. Okay, so you just did all that work, and you're ready to move your font to let's go close together. Say that one more time. Yep, so you just spent all the time, you got your text ready or whatever with your 3D effect that you want, and you're ready to kind of like move on and get that on your project. But you're saying, I don't know, that's a little bit too much 3D, right? So that's why I made these groups right here, so you can dial back the 3D effect to where you want it. Even so much as you can open up this and trim back even more, one little layer at a time. And you can see the impact that that has on the actual artwork, right? So say if, for instance, that this was cool, we were happy with it, and we're ready to take this on to another file, right? Here's the shortcut of all shortcuts. Control, you're holding these all down, Control, Alt, Shift, and then the letter E. Now, it happened pretty quick, so you probably didn't see it, but what that did was that added this layer right here. So in that one swoop, that combined the layers, it merged them, and then it made a copy of it all in one layer, and that is ready to move out to a different page. And it's just one layer, right? So I'll put that in the comments, but that shortcut is hold Control, Alt, Shift, and then E. So while you're holding Control, Alt, Shift, hit E, and then that'll make your copy. Okay, so that's one. We can get rid of that. And sometimes I'll store files in here. I just won't have them turned on if it's something I use a lot. So like if we take this right here, this site lead, we can actually open up our smart object right? We can go back to our source file. You can take this, you can drag it out, move it up here to your smart object, and we can just hide out our previous one. And now we have a different color in here, and we can do the same thing. We can save it.
Get them all, so you just need to kind of watch out. When that happens, it starts kind of getting all over the place. You just want to reset it and just save it and close without saving, and then
Okay, that's saved, and we can go back and you can see the same
so you saw the.
effect with this new
So now this moved down in that quadrant. You can see how the 3D effect on the left.
string of text that we have, right?
So let's do the opposite of that.
All right, so let's get back to our smart object, and we'll do a shape real quick. So we can turn that off, right? Just click the eye so it goes away. And how about,
And then we'll just knock out a logo.
how about we do this one right here? This is an interesting one because it's just a, how about we go down this one?
Close that.
A pretty basic shape, right? Something like you can use for a logo, but it has a real light gradient over it. Light color, a little bit of gray. It has this simple shape. So let's save this and see how that comes out 3D.
That kind of what it did. It went to the opposite side. So now you kind of understand how those different quadrants work. And let's go and put it right in the middle. So the other thing,
All right, it's saved. Let's go back and check it out.
you could take something like this. And
Okay,
make it so
now let's expand this and see what we got.
those-
Make sure everything's turned on. Turn back on those ones that we previously
so like
had
this,
off.
so it's in all four quadrants.
And you can see that that's adding in all those adjustment layers.
I'm going to save that so you can understand that part.
Boom. Now you got a little bit, now you got a 3D logo, right? And the same thing, right? If I wanted to make a copy of this, I could just move it to another file. We're going to do Control, Alt, Shift, E,
So this
letter E.
example is how you can get your 3D effect just how you want. So this one,
And that is going to make a copy of that
kind of throw down
that we can move around without having to worry about selecting 100 layers.
the different effects in each quadrant.
We'll move it just like that. And then you can, of course, move it off the page.
That's another technique that you can do is
Let's see, why didn't I like that file?
text or your image smaller so it fits in that quadrant, and then you have all of your 3D orientation going in the same way.
Control T, shortcut to resize.
I'm going to show you one more trick.
All right, and there you have it. Okay, so this is the file that you'll see in there. This one's a little bit more advanced, as in
A little bit smaller.
this was made with the Adobe 3D tools more so, but you still can go on and double click, and this is one where you can add
Okay, so you just did all that work, and you're ready to.
a 3D object, and then I saved filters in here, right? So that one kind of gives it like a screen look and different things. Now to adjust this one, it's a little bit more complicated. You'd have to click into these, and you would have to kind of learn and just experiment on your own. But that's a little bit more farther out than our tutorial is. But so that's the basics one there, right? You did a logo, you did the text, and pretty simple stuff, right? And finally, we'll go into this one. I just put this one together. So we have our wood plank background. Backgrounds are easy to get. And this is the same thing. So we have effects, depth, shadow, background, right? And you can see what happens when we take these off. So yeah, put in a shadow for that. Right? And the same thing, right? On this one, we're going to double click. That's the actual text, right?
Take us on to another.
And this one's going to be pretty standard when you save it, but we can move this down just for the fun of it. And let's save this.
We're holding these all down. Control, Alt, Shift, and letter.
So really, when you have this smart object, you can put anything in here that you want in 3D. You can type out text, you can add an image, add a shape, add a logo, and you can add the presets that I have on either file and save your smart object, right? And then take it back to the main file. So you can see what I did. That moved it down a little bit, kind of changed the orientation, but really cool effect, and it's easy to do, right? As long as you have these templates made,
And it's just one way.
right? They're quite simple to use. So in any case, that is our 3D Photoshop tutorial. Hopefully that made sense. But if not, you got the files, and you can always just leave me a comment, and I'll make sure to get back to you and answer your question, so I can help you out with that. And you know, anything that you guys create that you think is really cool, like please share it on, you know, my Instagram or whatever your platform is, or in the comments, so we can check it out and we can highlight that. So thank you for watching, and like I said, I really appreciate it, and don't hesitate to ask if there's anything that I can do for you. Have a good one.
And we can just hide out our previous one. And now we have a different color in here, and we can do the same thing. We can save it.